we've all received advice from different people, finance channels, of personal family. In today's video, I'll be sharing with you guys some of the personal finance advice I'm glad I did not follow. I remember when the pandemic started, I started doing a lot of research in terms of finances, how I could mitigate the risks that were coming through. I lost my job in that period of time and I wasn't ready. I was living by myself when the pandemic started. I was 24, unaware of what to do, trying to figure out what to do with my life. And I remember the hot thing back then was you should be investing in crypto, you should be investing in what's happening, like ride the wave, catch the wave for your personal finances to develop. For me, I am quite glad that I did not do this. I remember in that period of time, because of the way that Bitcoin was rising, we were all told to put in money, catch the wave, because we already missed out on it. I remember like back in 2011, whereby Bitcoin was probably around, I don't know, $10. And people were saying that you don't want to miss the wave. Once again, the wave is right now. Ride it. For me, I wasn't sure about Bitcoin. I wasn't sure about crypto. So I didn't invest into it as much. I saw someone say maybe you can put 5% of your portfolio into Bitcoin so that you also ride the wave and see where it goes. But I didn't have that kind of money. I didn't make that kind of money whereby I have X amount of dollars that I can put into Bitcoin, X amount of dollars that I can put into this and that. So I'm really glad that I didn't fall into that, because now looking at where crypto has gone 3 years later, it's like, wow, man, imagine how many people lost money in that period of time. People who invest millions and billions of dollars. Those are people, when it comes to investing into risky things like that, they say that you should invest money that you're willing to lose. If you're willing to lose billions of dollars, I'm not really willing to lose $1,000. That's a lot of money for the financial situation that I was in 2020. So I'm quite glad that I didn't fall victim to that. The other thing that I'm glad I didn't fall victim into was the whole you should invest into the stock market. You should be putting all your money into the stock market, compound interest. These are things that I talk about on this channel, but my belief is until your personal life is at a point whereby you do have excess amounts of money, you should not be investing at all. You should be investing in yourself. For me, last year I took out almost all of my investments to start to invest into equipment, into gear that I will be using to create revenue for me. From there, I'll be able to start investing. What I wish I knew when I was young was I should be investing in myself. The amount of money, back then I thought that investing in yourself meant buying clothes, buying things that make you presentable. But investing in myself simply means getting skills, getting knowledge, going to school and enhancing my ability to earn a revenue, to be able to use those revenues to then invest and make money. So I'm quite glad that I didn't fall into that. Another thing that I'm glad that I didn't take on was NFTs. I have a podcast. On my podcast, I had a guest come in and they taught me about NFTs and we talked about it. And I said to them, an NFT for me, it just looks like a JPEG, like people trading JPEGs. And we've seen how much the value of NFTs have gone down. For me, NFTs reminded me of art. I once read a book of I think it's called The 12 Million Stuffed Shark. It made no sense to me. And there's something that Warren Buffett has always said is, when you don't understand something, do not invest in it. Invest in things that you understand. We all understand that people drink Coca-Cola for fun. We all understand that people need iPhones. When I'm looking at stocks now, I only invest in things that I know and things that I have knowledge of. The second thing that I'm glad that I didn't take on was that this idea of hustle, that you should constantly be hustling. I remember I was dating a girl who would tell me that a man hustles, a man works. You should be working in construction. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. And in that period of time, I was like, yeah, maybe I should actually be doing this and that, because I felt like I wasn't working. When you're making these videos, it's like you're not working and people don't take it seriously, and to the point that you stop taking your work seriously as well. I'm glad that I didn't take on that thing, because what hustle culture does is it comes at the expense of your health. So when you're looking at people, and this is not to knock on anybody who does any kind of job, it's for me, when I was looking at it, when they were giving me this advice, I was like, I cannot work in construction because I don't have the skills that are necessary to work in construction. If I knew how to be an engineer, then I'll be working in construction. I'll work in the fields that I know. I went to school to do marketing. I went to school to do business. These are my knowledge areas. So for me personally, when it comes to making my money, my focus is on areas that I'm more knowledgeable about, and I'll stick to that. With my love and passion for film, I'm now in a situation and position whereby I can make videos about my passion, but I can also talk about business. What makes me different from your everyday cinematographer is I know marketing, I know business. What makes me different from a director is when you employ me, when you hire me to come work on your commercial, I understand marketing. I understand the knowledge and language that you're trying to speak, but I also speak the language of video. And this has allowed me not only to hustle on things that I'm passionate about, but it's allowed me to position myself and live a life that I can live, that makes me joy and brings me happiness. There's nothing that sucks as turning your hobbies into work, because playing a guitar for yourself is different from playing a guitar as a performance where you have to play it the same time, the same way every time. That would be boring for me. So I'm quite glad that I didn't take on this hustle culture to whereby I end up overworking myself and burning out my body. At one period in time, I was making reaction videos on YouTube, and I was making 10, 20 videos a day, and I was essentially burning out and not getting the results that I was working for, which was disheartening. And in slowing it down, I've been able to improve the quality of work that I put out, which is something that makes me proud. The third thing that I'm glad I didn't do was read everything. People say you should read a book every single day. You should read this. Whilst I do understand the value of reading, it opens up your world. It opens up your mind and helps you see everything. But you don't have to read everything. The amount of books that exist on this planet to date is just massive. The key thing is, for me, is to find a couple of books that you read and implement what they say. If you want to make money, read a financial book, but do what it says and implement it. The key thing for me is not to read everything, but is to get one book and implement what it says, and then read the next one to take you to the different level. So I stopped reading all books that exist on this planet. I just read one book. My goal is to read almost 52 books, just one book a month. No, 52 books isn't one book a week, but I now read in a diversified manner. So I don't read every book on finance, every book on sales, every book on this. I read books in different industries to increase my knowledge. As a film creator, as a filmmaker, we are constantly creating fiction worlds, right? So if I'm going to talk about being a doctor, then I have to read a biography by a doctor to have an understanding of that world, because I don't have doctors personally in my life that can tell me about their lives, but I can read about them. So the whole idea of you should read everything, then that's not good. The other thing is, you want to be careful of what influences you. If you're just reading books just to read, these things create your worldview. These things create a narrative in your mind of how you see things. So if you read a bad book, it will shape you. It will create your arguments. It will shape how you see the world, and it will make it difficult for you to grow outside of that. There's a guy that I follow on Twitter called Naval. He speaks of a thing where he says you should read the original books that shape worldview. You want to be careful of reading people's interpretations of things that they've read, right? That can set you up for failure. You want to be very careful in terms of what you're watching and what you're engaging with in terms of the books that you read.
Reality is, I would rather read the best 100 books over and over again until I absorb them, rather than read all the books.
Right.
The fourth advice that I'm getting follow is the idea of saving. People often speak about you should be saving. The problem with saving is inflation. I come from a country called Zimbabwe. In 2008, whilst the world was going through a global financial crisis, we went through crazy hyperinflation. In this moment, it taught us that savings do not work, because you can wake up the next day and all your money is wiped out.
I'm holding in my hand 1 million Zimbabwe dollars, but what can I buy with it these days? Here at this local market, a batch of tomatoes will cost me 10 million Zimbabwe dollars. A nachi will cost me 2 million Zimbabwe dollars, and a packet of onions will cost me $30 million. So pensioners who are taking home 1 million.
We woke up and people were billionaires. In that period of time, it taught me the value of assets. It taught me the value of converting your finances into something that generates cash for you. So for me, I've constantly worked on A, turning myself into an asset, B, owning assets, owning things that create cash for me. I'm constantly thinking of that. Saving money, whilst it's a valid thing, you want to cut your costs and increase your income and save as much as you can, but you want to save with a plan. When I read the book, The Richest Man in Babylon, he speaks about this, making sure that you save at least $1 out of every $10, and then making sure that dollar makes more money for you. So if you're simply making money and keeping it in your checkings account where it's making like 0.002%, you're not really saving anything because inflation moves faster than that. If you're looking at putting it in a savings account, at least get a decent percentage return so that your money doubles. You have to think of money that you're saving in a doubles game mentality, which is something that I got from Patrick Bay David. The key question is, anytime that you have money, is how long does it take for it to double? So if I'm keeping my money in a savings account, how long will it take it to double? Is it 1 year? Is it 2 years? Is it 3 years? Is it 5 years? Is it 10 years? Is it 20 years? Am I willing to wait that long? So you gotta ask yourself those questions. Like if you put in $1,000 at 2% in your bank, when does it become $2,000? If that's not something that's worth it, what can we do to turn this 1,000 into 2,000 without it affecting me? That's when you start looking at, if I take $1,000 and I educate myself, then I create my earning opportunity where I can earn $2,000. That's you converting that 1,000 into 2,000. But because the skill already belongs in you, that means you can keep on generating that revenue. If it means buying a piece of equipment, how does that piece of equipment make us revenue? So these are some of the things that you have to consider. For me, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with saving money. I feel like you have to save with a purpose. What are you trying to achieve? What does that money go for? Is it an emergency account? Okay, let's put that aside. Are we saving to buy a house so that we can start getting that rental income? Are we saving so that we can buy a car? Are we saving so that we can do this? Let's not just save for saving's sake, because you don't want to lose your money. Right now, the entire world is being affected by this hyperinflation that we're suffering from. You don't want to be stuck with that. You don't want to be the one who lost their money and made other people money. With that said, I've shared with you guys some of the personal finance advices that have been given. Share with us in the comment section which some of the financial advice that you got that you're glad you didn't check, you didn't get. If you're somebody who needs help setting financial goals, I made a video over here that can help you process out this year and let's make $1 million. And then if someone who needs a plan of making more money, I made a video over here that highlights how I will become a millionaire by the end of this year. With that said, hope you got some value out of this. Smash that subscribe button. I'm seeing you guys in the next one.